Daniel Wesley is quite good with his wheels. Wesley is a legless athlete who won Olympic skiing gold with this specialty ski. This is his tricycle. And he plays excellent tennis with this wheelchair. Dan's machines have one thing in common. They're made for him by Georgiev. I first met George when I told the story of his high-speed bike and how it set yet another world speed record in Nevada in 2002. Rider Sam Whittingham powered it to 81 miles an hour. No hill involved. And yes, it is a bicycle.
Part of my intention is to come to object that's not only purely scientific or mathematical, to come to object that is closer to the nature.
George is a sculptor, born and raised in Bulgaria. The racing bikes cost him money, while his machines for the disabled make him money, but not much.
A good friend of mine with the name Jocelyn Lovell, one of the best cyclists, got injured and get me involved in thinking about doing something for disabled people. Mainly what I'm concerned is to have something that works, something that gives people freedom and ability to do the things that they have not been able to do before. I focus on this. How would I do something which is very useful for, let's say, that kind of a disability? Then I put myself into the situation. I pretend that I'm the person, and then I make it for myself.
Dan takes his friend Dave Calver to Gabriola Island to visit George and see how Dave's new wheelchair is coming. Dave, a former mountain biker, has asked George to design an off-road wheelchair. Dan will ask George about a chair to support his artificial legs when he wears trousers on nights out on the town. I hadn't seen George in a couple of years, so I came over as well. George has almost finished Dave's wheelchair.
So, David,
this looks good.
I just came from the paint shop, and it's not completely finished because the fittings have to be done. But there it is.
Spectacular.
You know? Then here, these two wheels, eventually going to change them to the mountain type.
In October of 2002, I had a mountain biking accident where I went over the handlebars off of a jump, and I ended up breaking my thoracic 12th vertebrae, my first, second, third lumbar vertebrae. Yeah, well, because the clamp, the
angle of the clamp,
the angle of the clamp's going to have to be perfect in order to get the post vertical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that will depend on where it sits.
Exactly, exactly.
And the reason I chose to work with George in Varna was because for example, we're in his workshop right now. He totally welcomes you to come into his workshop and talk about what works for you and what doesn't.
Disabled people, the variety of their disability is vast. So thinking straightforward for able bodies, it's very easy. But when you involve disability there, you have a complex situation.
Back in 1973, I was silly enough to try to get on a moving freight train, and I fell underneath it, and it cut off my legs and put me in the hospital. The same day, Rick Hansen was thrown out of the back of a pickup truck, and the toolbox landed on him. And I thought that was kind of prophetic. And
so you two ended up, did you end up in the same hospital at the same time?
We ended up in the Royal Columbian the same day.
Oh.
And so we started, becoming buddies and racing our wheelchairs down the hallways even back then.
Eventually, George was designing machines for both men. Has there been a certain amount of you two pulling him and drawing him into this field and getting him to specialize in this area?
Well, you know what I think it is that it's twofold. One, it's our physical need and looking for a solution for it and finding George. And secondly, it's George's humanitarian side that wants to find a real solution for these real unique problems.
Yeah. 20 years ago, people did not know anything about hand cycling. So I made the first prototype didn't like it, make second prototype and third and fourth, and eventually I came to some kind of a conclusion and asked one of the disabled people's local people to try it out, and it's dawned to him and to me that it's a good idea.
And he applies the laws of aerodynamics to his hand-crank trikes.
I will choose the position of the body that is most streamlined. By doing that, I have achieved a very fast hand cycles. They are so fast, they hold all the world records.
And he holds pretty well all the speed records for regular bikes, too.
And he is incredibly good at working with the human form. The way he fits me to these bicycles is amazing. He will sort of take a look at me, take a couple measurements, really basic stuff, go away, build this bicycle, I'll come back, and it'll fit me like a glove. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, he was a classically trained sculptor, and everything he does is very organic. He takes his shapes from nature.
Designed for variety of people. I mean, size-wise. Now, these things have this ability to open.
Oh, I see. And it comes up at the same time.
And the seat elevates, and the person comes with a wheelchair. And
Yeah.
sits like that, you know.
And then they just
throws one leg up,
Uh-huh.
you know, puts his legs here, grabs this thing, and
And then
releases
adjusts.
it wherever he wants.
I keep on wanting to pedal with my feet.
It's hard to patent designs that are custom-made for each disability. So other firms have been able to borrow liberally on George's ideas.
That's fun.
I have competition, severe competition. Most of the times, actually, what's happening, the competition is they see what I do, and with little changes, they copy.
But you're making yours cheaper.
I do make my bicycles cheaper with the philosophy that I can reach more people, but it doesn't work very well because people think if it's more expensive, it's better. And it doesn't make much sense to me, but it does. That's how it works.
At the end of the day, we took the trike down to the ocean. I imagined not being able to use my legs. And I discovered with a well-made hand-crank trike, you can go a long way on arm strength. And by all reports, Georgiev makes the best hand-crank trikes anywhere.
Every disabled people that would be able to ride a bike should have a bike because the bicycle is a good contraption.